For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using one of these clear bowls. They come in a pack of 2, and then this adorable little truck and trailer that I found. This is a little bit bigger than the small ones that I'm used to seeing, so I was excited to see this. And then one of these white plastic plates. Those also come in a pack of 2. And then I've used all of my plastic domes that you can find usually during the spring, so I'm using one from a previous project. So I didn't even realize that the truck and trailer actually light up. But I'm going to be using this in the colors of black and white, so I'm not going to be lighting it up for this particular project. So anytime you're getting ready to paint plastic or acrylic, you want to give your items a really good sanding so that the paint will stick and doesn't come off or chip or flake. And then once you sand everything down, there's going to be lots of residue, so just make sure you get all of that off as well with a towel. So even though my plate is white, you know my motto about plastic. So I'm going to paint that with my white chalk paint. And then for the base, I'm using this bowl. So I'm going to paint that as well on the outside so that they both look the same. And then I'm going to paint my little trailer and my truck. And then I'm going to go back in with my ink chalk paint to give it some black highlights. I was contemplating whether or not I should paint the wheels. Either way would be fine, but again, it's got that shiny plastic, so I just went ahead and painted it with my white, and then I'll go back and paint the tires black as well. So I wasn't able to pull out the little plastic tree in the back of the truck because I wanted to replace it with a Dollar Tree bottle brush tree, but it's all connected and built in, so instead I just went ahead and painted it with my moss chalk paint, and then I'm going to go back and give it some snowy highlights a little later. And I'm only going to be painting the top and the bottom of my trailer, kind of like where the paneling would be. And then I made a little window in the door as well as a doorknob, and then painted the little awnings black. And then I'm going to go in and start distressing everything just with the side of my paintbrush to give it that rustic look. And as I'm watching this in hyperspeed, I wish this was the pace that I really worked at. And then I'm going to paint my windows completely black, and then I'm going to go over everything with some more white to give it that snowy frosted look. So now I'm going to take a pack of these LED photo clip string lights from the Dollar Tree, and they kind of pulled a whoop Scooby on me because there was no clips included with this pack, which was fine because I didn't need them anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to double them over, but where my lights are, I'm going to kind of spread those out, and then I'm going to fold them again a second time so that now I've got more lights just closer together. And then I'm going to take these and hot glue them to the front of my trailer, starting kind of towards the back on the front side. And then I'll go around, give it a swag in the middle, and then go around the other side. And then my battery pack is going to be hiding in the back of my trailer and under the snow of my scene. So now I'm going to take some permanent adhesive and some hot glue, and I'm going to attach my plate to my bowl, and this will be the stand for our tray. So now because my truck and my trailer are the same size, I need to lift my trailer, and I'll show you how I did that in a second. But also my Dollar Tree bottle brush tree is going to be a little bit too big for my dome, so it's going to, crunch it down. So to make it shorter, I'm just going to use my big fat cutters and cut off one of those tiers of the tree down at the bottom, and then pull out some of those needles so that I can twist that wire back up and stick it back into the little base that it came out of. And now it fits. So then to raise my trailer, I'm going to use some white styrofoam from the Dollar Tree and cut that down so that it fits underneath the trailer itself, and I'll hot glue that. There is nothing worse. I don't know that I can think of any sound that's worse than cutting styrofoam with a knife. It's just horrible. Anyway, I'm going to take some batting from the Dollar Tree and hot glue that around my styrofoam base, and that'll cover that up. And then I'm going to hot glue all of the trees that I want in my little forest here, and then I'll cover everything with some more batting to make it a snow-covered ground. And this way I can place my battery pack right behind my trailer, but under the snow, and so it's easy to turn off and on with the little click. So now that the inside is all cutie patootie, I need to overhaul my dome and make it more Christmassy. So I took some roving yarn from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to wrap that napkin ring, which is currently wrapped in jute twine. And then I'm going to cut my beaded keys off, and then I'm going to put another sweet little bow on that. And then at the bottom, I'm going to take some white pom-poms from the Dollar Tree and just hot glue those to the lip of my dome. So then to add a little more cuteness, I'm going to take some Dollar Tree black beads and I'll feed them on to the bottom of my ribbon, tie knots on there so that they stay in place, and then I'll add a teeny tiny bit of greenery and a white bell from the Dollar Tree, and it's done. And here it is, all finished, and I love this so much. I have a friend, Karen, at the Loft Home Decor, who said that I inspired her with one of my projects, but she's the one who inspired me with the white truck. Anyway, Karen, I hope you like this. I love how it turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. For our next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using 2 candle holders, some bottle brush trees, and 2, I don't know, I guess these are like those melty things, the black melty things where you put some wax melts at the top and then a tea light underneath or something, or a votive, and then they melt and smell good. But we're going to change it into a Christmas candle holder. And so I'm taking some teeny tiny little trees and just gluing those to the bottom, the opening where the candle would go. And then we're going to take these and pop them right on top of these metal candle holders. I have 2 different sizes so that they're staggered, and I'm just using some permanent adhesive as well as some hot glue, and then I'm going to attach those onto the top of these candle holders. And then I took some pretty black and white gingham ribbon. I'm going to tie that around the neck of the candle holder and then make a perky bow for both of them and attach that in the center. And to make your perky bow, all you have to do is just do the fold over method. I gave it 3 loops, I think, on each side, and then made little slits in the middle, attached a piece of chenille stem, and then I'm going to foof out my loops, and then I'll just use that extra chenille stem to attach it to the neck. So then I took a couple of these little chalkboard tags and I'm going to pull off the toothpick part. And you have to be pretty careful with this so it doesn't break your chalkboard. And then I took one of Dollar Tree's chalk writers and wrote Mary on one and Bright on the other. I should have used something with a finer tip because it was a little, too thick for these chalkboards and it's so small. But it's still pretty cute. So I'm going to take some hot glue and glue those to the stem of my candle holders and then cut down my ribbon ends at an angle. Now I'm going to take some Dollar Tree glittery faux snow and I'm going to spoon that inside, and there's a lip that'll keep it in place. I'll do that on the front and back, and I'm using Kindle Sue's little spoon. So cute. Add a Dollar Tree votive holder and candle at the top and it's done. And here they are, all finished, and I think these are so pretty, and they were so simple. The little wax melt holders just kind of do all the work, and the trees just fit perfectly in there. I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. For this next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using 6 styrofoam cones and 2 black and white buffalo check placemats. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut off 4 of the tips of my styrofoam cones. And so on 2 of them, I'm going to cut just a little bit off. And then I'm using a sanding sponge to kind of sand that down so that it's nice and even. I'm going to save 2 of those tips because those are going to become the trunks of our trees. Now you can always find cone-shaped templates online, but I just kind of measured it myself. It's not exactly perfect, but it gets the job done, and you can just kind of trace along afterwards to cut it down to the right size. And then I'll just use hot glue to wrap my trees. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be wrapping 2 of the cut down cones and then 1 of the full cones. And when I put them all together, you'll see how it works and what you need. And then I'm going to paint 1 of my cut down cones in my black chalk paint, and then I'll paint 1 of the cut down trees in white and then 1 of the full trees in white. I think it's easier if you just look at it when I get them all put together. And then for my little trunks, I had originally painted them with some white and brown to make it look like a trunk, but then I ended up not liking it, so I'm going to paint 1 black and 1 white. So then I took 2 Dollar Tree medallions and I'm going to paint these completely white, and those are going to be the bases of our trees so that they'll stand upright. And then I took a couple of star ornaments from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to pop those into the top of the full trees, both the buffalo check and the one that's painted white. And now you can see all of the pieces here that you'll need. So I'm going to start with my trunk and I'm going to hot glue that to the center of my medallion. And I'm going to make the seam be in the same place as those filled holes, because you can still kind of see the holes, but just so that you know where everything's at and it's lined up. And then I'll put my white painted partial piece on top of my black trunk, and then my buffalo check partial piece on top of that, and then my full white painted piece on top of that. And you see I placed a dowel right into my tree trunk, and so all of my styrofoam tree parts are going to be stacked onto that wooden dowel. And I poked a pencil through that styrofoam so that they would be nice and straight and in the middle and not be all wonky. And then for my second tree, I'm going to use the white tree trunk, place my dowel, and then I'm going to stack a buffalo check partial piece, then my black partial piece, and then my full buffalo check piece. So now I love going through buttons. I have all of these I've shown you guys before. I'm gonna get some black buttons and some white buttons. I'm always getting into this bin and I do some separating of colors as I'm going through there. I still have a long way to go to get them all organized, but it's very therapeutic, and once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. So I'm just gonna take some white buttons and I'm gonna hot glue those onto the black squares of my buffalo check, and then I'll take some black buttons and hot glue those to the white squares. And here they are all done, and I think this is so pretty. I love the black and white color theme for Christmas. I know some people don't like to use black, but you can also do this in the red and black buffalo check placemats or whatever material you have on hand. I love how these turned out, and I hope you guys like them too. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using 3 pairs of the Hot Wheels racetracks and 3 signs. These are from summer, and I think one's for 4th of July, but they're all the same size, and that's what matters. And then I'm going to use a package of these wooden dominoes. They're not really wood, but you know, the cardboard ones. Anyway, I'm also going to take some craft sticks from the Dollar Tree. I usually use the big ones from Walmart, but I'm out of those. So I'm also going to do a big boo-boo here. I meant to do this on the other side where the patterns are, and I'm going to realize it in just a second, and you'll see me kind of take a pause. Oh, dang. So I have to pull these off, and that kind of messes up the whole surface, but that's okay. When you guys see it at the end, it's not even going to matter. So I'm going to do this process on the back of my sign so that I didn't even have to pull up the paper, because the smooth backs were supposed to be the front of this project. So I'm going to glue these down really well with some permanent adhesive as well as some hot glue, and put those on my craft sticks and get those seams jointed together. And then I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in white and give that a nice good coat. And I just pour it right out of my bottle for projects like this with big surfaces. And I'm not even covering up those holes or making sure that I have complete coverage, because I think that's always a pretty look when a little bit of the brown is peeking through. So now I'm going to take my Hot Wheel tracks and I'm going to paint them with my Waverly chalk paint in ink or black. And I'm going to first do the sides, and then once those are dry, I'll go back and paint the fronts of them. So I only did 1 coat on here. This is going to require some touching up because we are painting on plastic, and I didn't sand these down because I'm going to go back once we get everything put together and cover it with a good layer of Mod Podge so that I don't have to worry about the chipping or the paint coming off. And you'll see it is really easy to have this paint come off, especially with my fingernails. I scratch it up a lot, and plus I'm also going to use clamps when I put it down onto my surface and get it glued on there. So I'm going to cut off the edges to make it fit to the width of my board, and then once I get those cut, of course those are going to show, you know, the orange is going to show on the edges, so I'm going to touch those up again. And then once that's dry, I'm going to start putting my permanent adhesive and my hot glue onto the 2 little parts on the back of the track. There's like 2 raised flat pieces. So those are the only parts that are going to come in contact with your board. So the top and the bottom strip are only going to have one side being attached to the board. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I turn it over, you'll see it. And I'm going to space these out 3 inches each. So I just marked with a pencil where they needed to be glued down, and then I'll get those all in place. And then on the back, at the top and the bottom, where I told you that only one side was going to be attached to the wood, I'm going to take some more craft sticks and glue that to the outside edges of my tracks, and it'll attach to my board. Do you see what I'm doing here? So then once I get my tracks all attached to my board and the glue's nice and dry, I printed out some letters on my cutting machine. And while those are cutting, I'm going to go back and do the final touch-ups on my paint and then cover it with my Mod Podge. Now, I had to use the gloss finish of my Mod Podge because that was all I had, but I think you should use matte. Actually, it doesn't matter because it didn't turn out as badly as I thought it might, but I still wanted to get this project done. So once you see it, you'll see it's not terrible, but I would have preferred to have the matte finish. So anyway, I'm going to take my letters, and I'll have the font that I used in the description box below, and I'm just going to transfer my letters onto each of my little tile bricks or dominoes. And of course, you can spell out anything you want. I'm using Isaiah 9:16, and this doesn't even have to be a Christmas project. This would work for all year round, but since this is a Christmas video, that's what we're doing. And on this particular font, the O's had little dots inside of them, but that was okay because I could just pull those out when I'm doing my weeding. And there will be some of the wider letters that you'll have to shrink down to make them fit onto your tiles. Or dominoes, darn it. And this does take a lot of time and patience because I did use quite a long scripture, but you can make this into any size that'll work for whatever you want to put. It could be something as simple as Merry Christmas, and then it won't take so long. But I just turned on the TV in my craft room and just worked away, exercising my fruit of patience and getting the job done. So I'm just leaning this against the wall. It's on top of my buffet. And so the top line for Unto Us A is not able, there's not enough room in between there. So I actually have some painter's tape rolled up on the back of my letters to keep those in place. But if it's hanging, it should have enough room to stay in place. And then I'm going to place the rest of my letters and then it'll be done. And while I have a second, I wanted to tell you guys, I have been so behind on comments, and I want you to know that I get notified on my phone. I do read every single one, but there's always some that I want to reply to, but I'm afraid to do that because some will have been posted sooner, and then if I don't get to those before yours, I'm just paralyzed, and so I don't comment at all. So I want you to know that if I give you a heart, you know I've read it. And especially when I'm having a bad day, or I'm missing my mom real bad, or sometimes it just gets a little frustrating when I'm going, and I need to take a break. One of my love languages is words of affirmation. So you guys literally pump me up when I'm feeling my lowest. But just know that every single comment is so important to me, and that little heart emoji is truly me giving my heart to you. And here it is, all finished. I was so excited to do this project, even with all of my mistakes and the glossy Mod Podge finish. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is the gloss okay? I just knew I wanted it to be pretty industrial looking, and I think it totally is. You could even add some Christmas ribbon if you wanted to bring it more into the Christmas season. But anyway, I love how it turned out, and I hope you like it too. And anytime we can bring some more Jesus into our Christmas, that's always a good thing. I hope you guys enjoyed these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Remember the reason for the season. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye.